Hi everyone, my name is Karen, this is my channel RatherBeReading, and today I'm bringing to you the mid-year check-in tag. The mid-year check-in tag was created by Harriet, Rosie and Dane Reads. I will leave a link to both of their videos down in the description box for you guys to check out. And I was actually tagged by 3 different people to do this tag, so apparently a lot of people want to know how I'm going with my reading this year. I was tagged by Kath from over at Kath Elizabeth Reads, Lindsay from over at Wandering Reader, and Jade from over at Bedtime Bookworm. So I will leave a link to all 3 of their videos down in the description box for you guys to check out as well. So this tag is obviously just created all around your reading and how you're going and checking in with your reading. Now that we're halfway through the year, I generally consider the first half of the year, I kind of cut that off when I'm generally talking about this, as being after 30 June. That to me is like the first 6 months of the year. That's kind of how I generally judge things. So let's jump straight in and answer all of these great questions. Question number 1 is just how many books have you read so far this year? So as of the 30th of June, I had read 131 books. I've actually read, I think, about 7 more at the time of filming, but as of the 30th of June, I had read 131 books, which I'm very, very happy with. Question number 2 is, what is your favorite book that you've read so far this year? So I have read 3 new to me 5-star books so far in 2018, and if I had to rank them, I don't think the book that I'm going to talk about would technically be my most favorite, but I'm going to talk about this one because I did rate it 5 stars. It is definitely one of, obviously, my top 3 books of the year, but also it's not a book that I hear very many people talk about, so it is the book that I've chosen to talk about today, and that is This Is How It Always Is by Laurie Frankel. This is an adult literary fiction novel that surrounds a family that have 5 sons, biologically speaking, but the youngest of those 5 children from a pretty early age starts to question his gender identity and start to feel like maybe he would like to, that she would like to identify as a girl. We're mainly seeing the story from the perspective of the parents and how they are dealing with this situation, and I want to say that this is own voices for that part of the representation. From what I understand from looking into this, Laurie Frankel does have a transgender child, and so that part of the story is very authentic in the feelings that parents have around this and wanting to be supportive but also wanting what's best for your child, because obviously this is a very difficult path for a child to take. Even if you are 100% supportive, you know that this is not going to be necessarily the easiest path in life for your child to take, but also dealing with the questions of that the child is so young. I think at the start of the story the child is around 4 or 5 years old, and so you have the questioning of how young is too young to decide who you want to be for the rest of your life, and the best way for the parents to let the child express themselves, and the best way to get started on that path, but without necessarily having it affect their entire future if that's not necessarily where they're going to want to go in future. It just touches on so many issues. It's very emotional. I just think it's very educational in a lot of ways. I think it's a really, really beautiful book, really well written. Like I said, it is own voices for that aspect of the story, and I just would highly recommend that everyone read it, and I really, really loved it. Question number 3 is, what is your most disappointing book of the year so far? So for that one, I've decided to go with The Good Girl by Mary Kubica. So I gave this a 2.75 star, so I didn't hate it, but I was very, very disappointed. I had 3 books by Mary Kubica on my TBR at the start of the year. I've read 2 of them so far. The other one I liked a little bit more than this, but still didn't really love it. I gave that one 3 stars. I was so, obviously having 3 of her books on my TBR. She was an author I was very excited to pick up. This falls into the kind of ironic trap of a very unthrilling thriller. This is so slow. I don't think I've ever read a thriller that was so slowly paced. This also has a twist in it that's the type of twist that to me just had me going, what? It left me with so many questions, but not in the good way. It had me not understanding how that worked in the grand scheme of the story, and it really, if that's the path that the author was going to want to go with the twist, it needed a lot more explanation, in my opinion. So I was very, very disappointed in this, because I really thought that Mary Kubica was an author that I was going to really like, and I was going to really love her thrillers. I do have a third one of hers on my TBR that I will get to eventually, and hope that it's a better book than this first two. Which the other one of hers that I've read is Pretty Baby. So yeah, I was definitely disappointed in this. Question number 4 is, what genre have you read the most of this year? Now, this is one that I was actually surprised in the results. So I do have a book spreadsheet that I use to track my reading throughout the year, and that automatically creates charts and things. And so I looked at the chart for genre, and the highest genre that I've read at 16.5% is thriller. Now, thriller is my favorite genre. That is my favorite genre. It is the genre that I like to read the most of, but I wouldn't have thought that it was the genre that I'd read the most of, because I just feel like I don't read enough thrillers, but that's obviously just because I love it. Now, obviously, you can tell from the percentage, 16.5%, it's still not a very high percentage. I read such a wide variety of genres. I think the next highest one was contemporary, which obviously contemporary covers kind of a vast range of things, which technically can cover thrillers as well. But yeah, I've read so much like literary fiction, contemporary, some sci-fi, some fantasy, some horror, some erotica. I'm sure there's some other things in there as well, but yeah, I do read a really wide variety of genres, which I think that percentage shows, but thriller is technically the genre that I've read most of so far in 2018. Question number 5 is, name a favorite author that you've discovered in 2018. So for this one, I have 2 different authors that I'm going to mention. The first one is Joshua Jackson. I read The Almost Sisters by Joshua Jackson earlier this year. This is a literary fiction novel about a woman who has a one-night stand. She's white, and she has a one-night stand with a black man that results in an unexpected pregnancy. She then has to return to her small hometown in Alabama due to some medical issues going on with her grandmother, and she is dealing with the fact that she is going to be having a mixed race child in a very predominantly white small southern town. So it deals with a lot of issues around racism. It also deals a little bit with some Alzheimer's issues, as that is something part of what the main character's grandmother is dealing with. So you do get a bit of that in there as well. But yeah, it spoke a lot about race and racism. This is told by a white woman, I want to make that clear. But I thought that it touched on such a lot of interesting topics from the perspective of a white person, myself obviously being a white person, but things about that she recognizes that her child being mixed race is going to grow up in a completely different world to the world that she grew up in, and a world that she can never understand, and that she recognizes that there are 2 very different worlds, the world in which she lives in and a world that black people and mixed race people and anyone of any type of color deals with, and that's something that she can never fully understand. That's just the tip of the iceberg and the types of issues that it dealt with. I thought this book was brilliant, and as soon as I finished it, I knew that Joshua Jackson was an author that I was going to want to read more of. I actually have a book of hers out from the library at the moment that I'm hoping to get to really, really soon, and if I enjoy that one, I'll definitely be continuing on with more of Joshua Jackson's other works. The second author that I wanted to talk about is Jessica Spotswood. So I read her Cahill Witch Chronicles, which is made up of Born Wicked, Starkhurst, and Sister's Fate this year. The thing I loved about Jessica Spotswood, I was always inclined to enjoy these because it is a witchy series, and if you know me, you know I love some freaking witches. They're like my favorite supernatural type of creature or being, thing, person, whatever. Love me some witches. So I was always going to enjoy these, but Jessica Spotswood has a real feminist kind of flair to her books. These are set in a kind of alternate history type of thing where, well, not necessarily really that alternate, scarily enough, where men hold all of the power, and basically the only thing women can do is get married, and magic is super like illegal, you know, because men are afraid of women and powerful women, and the like discussion in this entire trilogy on that and just kick-ass women. It does also deal with some female-female relationship issues in here, like just a little bit, but that is kind of sprinkled in there as well. And I'm definitely keen to read a lot more of Jessica Spotswood and read just more of her books, because that kind of feminist undertone that she has in this series is just something that really, really spoke to me. Question number 6 is, what is the most surprisingly good book you've read so far this year? So for this one, I'm never really that surprised by books, because I have such varying taste that at any given time I could kind of love or hate a book. I never really have a lot of expectations going in. So the book that I've gone with is Still Me by Jojo Moyes, and this one I've purely gone with because while I really, really enjoyed Me Before You, I know it's a controversial book, but I personally did really enjoy it. The sequel, After You, I want to say? Yeah, After You, I didn't love. I think when I checked after I read Still Me, I'd actually given it a higher rating than what I thought I had, and I don't know why, because looking back on that book, it's really not a book that I super, super loved. So I went into Still Me with very, like, reserved, like, levels of hope for how good that book was going to be, because, like I said, the second book was just nowhere near as good as the first, but I was very surprised by how much I ended up enjoying that book. I definitely think that the author got back to kind of the roots of the main character and what made the main character so lovable that we kind of had moved away from in the second book, and I was just very, very surprised by how much I ended up enjoying that one. Question number 7 is, what are your favorite and most anticipated 2018 releases? So if you know me and my channel, you know I don't read a lot of 2018 or like the current year releases. It's just not the way that I personally read, because I read my TBR kind of in the order of how I received them. So in any given year, I read very few books released that year. I think when I had a look, I've read about 10 to 15, I can't remember exactly what it was, 2018 releases, and I haven't loved too many of them. I've only given 2 books 4 stars, and that's the highest rating they've given for any 2018 release, but I would have to say that probably my favorite of them so far this year has been Still Me by Jojo Moyes, which I just mentioned in the previous question. I say I did really enjoy that book, and it is probably my favorite of the 2018 releases that I've read so far this year, even though it would not make my list of favorite books of the year so far. It is my favorite of the 2018 releases that I've read so far this year. My most anticipated 2018 release is definitely Toil and Trouble, which is an anthology that's being edited by Tess Sharp and Jessica Spotswood, who I've mentioned. I was already excited for this before I read the Cahill Witch Chronicles, but now having read that, I'm even more excited. This is an anthology that is all around witchy short stories. It sounds so up my alley. Like I said, the fact that it's being edited by Jessica Spotswood, who I've really loved. I haven't read anything by Tess Sharp, but I've been so excited for that book since I very first heard about it, and it's definitely a book that I'm probably going to purchase when it does eventually get released. I can't remember when it's released. It's later this year, but yeah, I'm so excited to read that book. Question number 8 is just, what's your next big priority for your reading in 2018? I don't have any like particular books or anything. Well, I do. So I will be doing a video later this month on my channel checking in on all of my 2018 goals and how I'm going with that. And all of the books that I said I was going to read for particular challenges in that I haven't got to yet, they are obviously priorities for the rest of the year. But apart from that, I don't have any other like particular books that I need to pick up, because that's just not kind of the way that I read, except for my goals. So yeah, I don't have any like super big priorities for the rest of the year, except to try and achieve all of those goals. Question number 9 is, what has been your bookish highlight of the year so far? So I've got 2 things that are like bookish related and kind of booktube related that I wanted to mention. The first one is hitting 500 subscribers on my channel. That was such a big milestone for me. I mentioned it obviously in my like thank you and stuff video, and I think it was the Q&A announcement when I talked about it. I've had my channel for a really long time. I've had my channel just under 4 years, I think, at this point. And to hit 500 subscribers was just really, really amazing, because obviously I don't do it for the numbers. If I did it for the numbers, I wouldn't still be here. But it is still very validating to eventually reach those like milestones, even though I'm not reaching them obviously maybe as fast as some other people are. It was just really, really amazing to hit that 500 subscriber. And I'm over 600 subscribers now, which is even more amazing. So that was definitely a big bookish highlight. My other one that I was really, really excited about this year was being asked to help co-host the book swapathon, which you guys can still sign up for. I will leave a link to the book swapathon announcement video in the cards for you guys. No, it's this side, in the cards for you guys to check out. I have never co-hosted any kind of readathon before, and it's something that I've always been kind of interested in, but I'd never really thought too much about it. And when I was contacted by Derby asking me to, if I would like to be a co-host, I was immediately on board, because it is a readathon that I was interested in participating and didn't get to end up getting to participate in last year. And I love Derby, and through all the other co-hosts, it's introduced me to some more people and some more channels, and I'm getting to know the girls a lot more, and it's just been something I've been really excited to be a part of, and it's definitely been one of my bookish highlights of 2018. Question number 10 is just, who do you tag? I'm not going to tag anyone in particular, just because I feel like anyone who probably wanted to do this tag has probably already done it. But yeah, this was such a fun tag, and I'm really excited. I was going to, before I got tagged in this, I was going to do the mid-year book freakout tag, but this is a really, really great alternative to that tag. So if you haven't heard about this tag before and you're thinking about doing the book freakout tag but weren't sure, if you want to do the book freakout tag, go right ahead, you do you. But there's a few questions in that tag that just don't really apply to me and the way that I read. So if this is a tag that sounds like a better choice for you, then definitely give it a go. So that's it, you guys. This was my mid-year check-in tag. I would love to chat with you guys in the comments down below how your reading has been going for the first half of the year. Like I said, I will have my 2018 goals check-in video coming up very, very soon, so keep an eye out for that one. Please like this video if you liked it. Please subscribe if you want to see more from my channel. But that is all I have for this video today. Bye, guys.